something interesting, and maybe you can help us out with this, McNuggets. You said, let's face it, the Browns haven't been getting great quarterback play all year. They do have to play better than the 1 touchdown and 8 picks that P.J. Walker and DTR have combined for, obviously. But you could throw Watson in there, and we've been saying, Watson now is Watson. We forget, he was 6 of 20 in the first half against on Sunday against the Ravens. 6 of 20.
It wasn't like we have no 300.
Where are the Browns quarterbacks? I don't know if they do this as a metric. Of the 32 teams and their play at quarterback, all of them combined, where would the Browns fit into that pantheon? I would think they'd be bottom 7 or 8.
Yeah, I'll do the math real quick, but I'll give you a stat I can give you without doing that. But before I do that, let me just remind you guys that on Fridays from 12:30 to 1 o'clock, we leave YouTube and we go over to WKYC for 30 minutes of brand new Browns content, previewing their upcoming opponent. This week it's the Steelers, so it'll be 30 minutes of brand new Browns-Steelers content. You can watch us in Cleveland on Channel 3 or download the WKYC or WKYC Plus apps to watch us if you're out of market. But tune in. It's a lot of fun, and we will see y'all tomorrow from 12:30 to 1. Jay, what I can tell you, and I'll do the math, the Giants have thrown fewer touchdowns. I can guarantee you that. And the Jets have thrown fewer touchdowns. And I would bet the Raiders have thrown fewer touchdowns. I will confirm that after.
Okay.
But there's been more quarterbacks who have started a game this season than there's ever been in a season in NFL history.
I believe
49 different quarterbacks have started a game this year, and it's only week 10, which may go to show the importance of the backup quarterback position has been devalued because so many guys get hurt. But let me just read you a couple numbers real quick of guys drafted last year and this year who are making their first few career starts in the 3rd round or later to give us maybe a little idea of what we can actually expect from DTR.
Okay.
So guys like Clayton Tune, who was picked 1 pick before DTR.
Terrible.
Unfavorable circumstances playing against the Browns defense, but he obviously 12 of 21 for 62 yards and 2 interceptions. Not very good. You go to Malik Willis, who's played in a couple games this year. He was a 3rd-round pick of the Titans last season.
Awful.
Played and then got benched. Malik Willis, thrown for 74 yards this year, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Will Levis
he did
had a
rush
good
for a
start.
touchdown.
Yeah, but
Will Levis has come in. He's a
higher
2nd-round pick,
though.
so he's excluded from
Oh,
this.
you're only doing first. Okay.
The 3rd, no, because then we can look at C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young and those guys. So these are guys kind of in the
Lower
DTR
rounded
range
picks.
Okay.
who have made starts.
Yeah, because Will was taken top of the 2nd, wasn't
Top
he?
of the 2nd round. Yep, we keep going up. Tommy DeVito for the Giants, who has now started 2.5 games. He's going to start again this week. He's completing 47% of his passes. He has 260 yards in 3 games, 3 touchdowns, 2 of which came in garbage time against the Cowboys, 3 interceptions and 3 fumbles. You keep going up. Aiden O'Connell, who was a 4th-round pick this year, has started 2 games for the Raiders, is going to continue to start. He's completed 66 passes on 104 attempts for 675 yards, 170 yards per game, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Tyson Bagent, undrafted rookie this season. He started 3 games, 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's thrown for 171 yards per game. And that's about it as far as guys who are drafted.
Yeah, I mean,
later,
Brock Purdy is
making their
the
first starts.
anomaly. And
Yeah,
we're
Purdy's
hoping,
the anomaly.
And we're hoping DTR is as well. Guys, listen, I know we want to stay optimistic. I want to stay optimistic too. But we can't con ourselves into believing that it's not a big deal that Deshaun Watson is hurt. And we're now going to tell ourselves he hasn't played well at all. We just talked about how he played his best game and played, in that 2nd half against Baltimore, he was almost perfect. The reality is they probably wouldn't have won that game without him, and there's going to be other games this year where it will cost them not having him. I'm just being realistic.
I know you are, but okay, when you look at those numbers, I'll give you.
You would never have been saying any of this had he not gotten hurt.
But
you guys wouldn't have said
however, he threw for 213 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Now, if I just gave you an envelope and you looked at it and you said,
Jay,
213, a touchdown and a pick.
Jay, before he got hurt,
we
said nothing bad. We said nothing bad about the game.
No, and here's why.
Yeah.
Because the bar was so much lower than this. He was 6 of 20 in the first half.
Let's be honest. Come on. The gap between Deshaun Watson, even what he was here, is huge between him and DTR or P.J. Walker. It's huge, and there's no way it's not a factor. You're being unrealistic.
No, I'm not.
No, you are. I mean, it's obvious you are. Come on now.
Well, 220 and a touchdown and a pick?
So here's
Jay, you came on here on Tuesday. He was perfect in the 2nd half.
He
was
was
bananas.
I'm giving him credit for the 2nd half.
I know that. So
you can't put a blindfold on and pretend.
No,
the first
you're
half,
putting the blindfold on. I'm telling you, it's a big difference.
How did he play in the first half? How did he play in the first half?
He didn't play well. That's obvious. We talked about that a million times
let's
already.
marry the two together.
Yes.
He played well in a half and poorly in a half.
Okay, so it doesn't matter that he's hurt, I guess.
No.
It doesn't matter.
I didn't say it doesn't matter.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that I can't sit here and crumble and say,
Who's saying
oh
crumble?
my God, we lost
Jay,
Joe Montana.
Jay, how come every time I say it matters, you say we don't have to crumble? Who's telling you to crumble?
Here's the
I'm
reality.
saying let's be realistic.
The realistic part about it.
It significantly hurt their chances of success this year. You know that.
I disagree on that.
The realistic part about it is
Yeah.
the reason you pay him $230 million is because what he did in the second half. There's about 5 to 10 quarterbacks in the league that can do what he did.
And those guys aren't on the Browns.
And in the second half, and he got them that win.
Right.
However, what you're discounting is this. They don't have. We got the best defensive player in the world.
I'm not discounting that at all.
But what I'm saying,
not at all. Gee, if they didn't, I wouldn't give them any chance.
But to say that Deshaun Watson, there is a big.
Of course, there's a huge
gap.
difference. You know that.
And no, I never refuted that. What I'm saying to you is, I've always said from the jump street, I've been very clear about it. The Cleveland Browns, even when they had Deshaun Watson at 100%, I said the strength of what the Cleveland Browns are is not Deshaun Watson. It is Nick Chubb in the running game.
Come on, let's be realistic. You picked him to throw for 5,000 yards before the season.
How many times have I said that? How many times have I said you have to run the ball more? At nauseum.
But
for 2 years.
Did you not say Deshaun Watson was going to throw for 5,000 yards this season?
I came up
You
with...
can't pretend you didn't think he was going to be a huge part of the offense now.
But guess what? When you get new information, Bull, you can change your mind.
Because he wasn't playing well. And then he started to play better.
So he's playing better.
And they don't have Nick Chubb either.
But what I'm saying to you is, yes, you don't have those things. But one of the things that you do have, when something happens on your team, people got to step up. Like, I'm confused. My thing is this. They should have beaten Seattle with P.J. Walker throwing balls off the helmet.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. If you say that, then I said they should have lost to San Francisco. You can't say they should have beaten Seattle.
The point
you win the games you win, you lose the games you lose.
The point is they've been in every single game this year.
No, they haven't.
Except for the Ravens.
Right.
Where they didn't even get to do it ready until 10:30.
Right.
So my thing is, why do I feel like now, the rest of the season, they're going to fall off?
What do you mean fall off? You don't think there's going to be any fall off at all?
Hey, let me ask you guys this then.
Yeah.
Take Watson out the equation. We got DTR against Pittsburgh on Sunday.
Yeah.
Watson's not here, so there's no point in comparing DTR to Watson at this point. What can you actually expect from DTR?
Why are you sidelining the conversation here?
Yeah, I know. He's trying to move it along.
I'm just saying, we can argue DTR versus Watson all day, but Watson's got a game against Pittsburgh.
I agree somewhat. I just...
225.
I think... right, and let me just throw some numbers out. And I think in the grand scheme of things, does this hurt? Yeah, he's our starting quarterback. Of course it does. Particularly when we take a look at the last half that he gave us.
Right.
But for the season, Deshaun Watson has thrown for 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 4 picks.
Okay.
Yeah, give me DTR and P.J. Walker's numbers.
Okay,
Jay.
now we know that what they are. They were 1 touchdown and 8 picks.
Okay, that's a huge difference.
Now, okay, so I can't look at these numbers, 7 touchdowns and 4 picks, 1,100 yards. I'm not going to forget about the second half against Baltimore. He was phenomenal.
Yep.
But there were also 13 other halves of football that he played this year. And when you look at the whole stew mixed together, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks, 1,100 yards.
And if you look at the whole stew, his play is significant, even though it wasn't as good as it's been in the past, was significantly better than your other options.
Now, let me ask you
that's
this.
simple.
No, you're right about that.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that DTR should perform significantly better than he did in his first time?
I have no idea.
Just based on the fact that you know he's got the whole week to prepare. He's also got one
he just
NFL
gave you the
start
list
under
of all
his belt.
the late quarterbacks, and they all sucked.
I'm not going to say Will Levis sucked. Will Levis was taken.
Jay,
We're
not talking about Will Levis. He was a top 40 pick, Will Levis.
Okay, so if we're going to ignore him, then we'll throw in Brock Purdy.
So my thing is, out of all those quarterbacks, which one of those quarterbacks was named the backup besides DTR? Nobody. So obviously,
what are you talking about? Clayton Tune was the backup their whole year.
Obviously, they felt DTR was better if they gave up Josh Dobbs, and Josh Dobbs is better than all those quarterbacks.
They kept Clayton Tune as their backup and got rid of Colt McCoy.
But what I'm saying to you is,
Yeah.
you can't put DTR in the same position as those dudes, because if you look at what's happening,
all I said, you said, what do I expect? I said, I have no idea what to expect.
We don't know.
That's it. You're trying to force me to say he's going to have some.
And you're
success.
trying to force us to say, oh, it's significantly different.
Of course it is. Deshaun Watson has been a great player and has been solid when he's played the last two
Vegas
games.
said
you have the worst quarterback in the league here.
So Vegas said the Browns were a 3.5-point favorite with Deshaun Watson. Now they're saying they're a 1.5 favorite.
Vegas also dropped their odds of winning the championship, cut it in half essentially.
From what to what?
I don't. Let me bring it up. I'll bring it up. I told you yesterday. It was a significant difference. I got to find it. Why don't you guys talk while I look for it?
Yeah, and look, we're never going to agree on this.
You guys are conning yourselves, and I get it. You need to do that.
No, I'm not conning anything.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is we lost a quarterback that threw 7 touchdowns and 4 picks for 1,100 yards. Vegas certainly didn't flip the line like it did
when the Browns are 50-1 to win what?
The Super Bowl.
And what were they the day before?
28.
So
okay, I mean, but still,
28-1 to 50-1. That's a huge change.
Really, it's not in sports terms.
Yes, it is, Jay.
It's a big difference, but when you get past 4-1, everything is thrown up in it. If you go from 4-1 to 8-1, it's the same thing that happened to the Browns.
I just think that
and by the way, you brought up the line as an example.
Yeah.
And then when I brought up a line, you're blowing it off.
I'm not blowing it off. You're saying that 28-1 to 50-1. Pack
That's
the bags.
a huge difference.
Pack the bags. We're not making a playoff run.
For the 8th time, I have not said pack the bags. Not once. You keep accusing me of saying pack the bags.
Bull.
I have not once said pack the bags. I'm saying it's a lot harder, and you're not acknowledging that.
It is harder.
You're making it seem like it's no difference.
We lost a guy that was 7 touchdowns and 4 picks.
But
is that better than a guy who's 1 touchdown and 8 picks?
Sure.
Significantly?
Well, yes, it is.
Okay.
Of course
Fine.
it is. But we can't assume, because really it's no touchdowns, 3 picks. Because DTR's the guy now.
Okay.
So, PJ Walker's not playing for this team.
Okay.
He's not. So I'm looking at DTR.
Yeah.
He completed almost 60% of his passes. He threw no touchdowns and 3 picks. His first start, go back and look at Peyton Manning's rookie year, how many touchdowns or interceptions that guy threw.
And we're not saying he Peyton Manning.
Of course not, but there's a learning curve to this.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying he's going to figure it out in 5 games.
So
but
you
I like
think
his
the
chances.
odds of a 5th-round pick being good is high for a quarterback?
No, but I did see Brock Purdy last year, so I know it's doable.
Of course it's doable.
And in Cleveland, we're believe land.
Of course
we're going to believe
doable,
that this can happen.
And we all hope it's going to happen. I'm just trying to do a little realism, and you guys are trying to paint me in a corner like I'm purposely being negative,
it's
and
your
I'm
opinion,
not.
Bull. It's your opinion. At the end of the day, you may well be right. They may miss the playoffs.
I didn't even say they're going to miss the playoffs.
And lose the first game.
I'm not even saying they're going to miss the playoffs. I think they got a decent chance still to make the playoffs. I'm just saying 2 days ago, I thought this team could really win a Super Bowl, and now I think it's a miracle if it happens.
It'd be a long shot. I'll give you that. But
I mean, listen.
On Tuesday, I would have given them a chance to beat anybody in the playoffs. Anybody. And now I feel like there's 15 teams I'm picking over them in the playoffs.
Well, here's the thing. Like right now, if you go down a list of teams, who's killing it? That's my point too. You got to look at the context.
I know. That's part of my argument
too. The Buffalo Bills they just fired their coordinator. Now,
the Bills and Bengals were widely considered 2 and 3 in this division.
And they're 5 and 4.
They're on the outside looking in right now on the playoffs.
Right now is irrelevant. We're at the halfway point of the season.
It's irrelevant, but it's all we've got.
That's the only thing you got.
Well, the Chiefs are 7-2.
So if the
pretty damn good too.
And think about this: the Browns go out there and boat race the Steelers. The Browns are 73. The Chiefs are 72.
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
not only that. So my
the Chiefs are playing also, so they won't be 7. They'll either be 7-3 or 8-2.
And they play the Eagles.
They could be 7-3. The Browns could be 7-3.
So my thing is, yes, is it more difficult? Or some of the games that you go down the line that used to think you got? I thought with the Broncos game was a gimme. I thought a lot of the games at the end of the season might be gimmies, but guess what? Those games are competitive now.
Yeah.
Right, and that's
it.
That's the nuance.
It's way harder for them to reach their goals.
It's competitive.
That's all I'm saying.
These games are going to be competitive. There's going to be a shootout, and there's probably 1 or 2 of those games that you may lose that you thought you could win. But here's what I'm going to say. Everything that they have is in front of them. And the thing that you can lean on with the Cleveland Browns is 2 different things. Special teams, you got a kicker, you got a punter. They've been playing lights out. You got the best defense in the league that has shown you that they can go on the road and beat good teams. That type of stuff carries, and all you need is them. Think about it. All you got to do is not turn the football over.
That's the key.
Punts is okay. If they can get DTR to think field position game, if it ain't there, tuck it and run. If it ain't there, throw it in the stands. We got a defense and we're going to play field position. If you can get him to play smarter, not necessarily more productive, smarter, the Browns have a shot in every game.
And here's an example of that, what you just said. And I like that Stefanski now has a week where the only student under his wing
is him.
Is DTR.
Right.
He's going to be coached up like he hasn't been coached up yet. He's going to be in all the extra meetings. He's going to look at tape nonstop every day. He's the focus of Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt. One of the quarterbacks that Bull slays on this show on the regular, and by the way, I agree with you, is Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett is a middling quarterback. But you know what Mike Tomlin said this year? We got to operate under the idea that we can't give the football away. We don't have an explosive offense. So here's our formula to win. Our defense is going to kick your ass, and we're not going to turn the ball over. I mentioned Deshaun Watson's stats, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. Kenny Pickett, 6 touchdowns, 4 picks. They're 6-3. This method of football can win if you don't turn the ball over. Now, DTR,
we don't know that it can win. We don't know if it can win when it matters.
It can win in the regular season, and that's where we are right now. You can't get to the playoffs until you get through the regular season.
Yeah.
So I think I understand where you're coming from.
And by the way, the quarterback play, they're likely to get the rest of the year. Likely, not definitely. If I'm wrong, then it doesn't matter. Is likely to be even worse than Kenny Pickett.
I would expect it will be.
Yeah.
However, with this defense, and Pittsburgh I think our defense is better than Pittsburgh's.
I would agree.
And they've managed through smoke and mirrors. This is a team that through 9 games has not outgained their opponent once. Yet they're winning 67% of their games. So in today's football, the way it's being played in the regular season right now, don't give up stupid turnovers. Rely on your defense for takeaways and big splash plays. That's what Pittsburgh is. I like our run game better than Pittsburgh's run game.
And I do too. And let's be clear. Lamar Jackson gave the game away to the Browns. All you got to do is make Deshaun Watson go 30, 90, 100 yards, but you gave up a pick 6.
Right.
That pick 6 hurt you.
I don't agree with you on the run game. I think Jaylen Warren's better than anybody the Browns have.
I think our overall run game over Pittsburgh.
I take our offensive line. I take our offensive line.
I would take the Browns' offensive line if healthy, but right now
they're certainly dinged up. All right, Mike,
Real quick,
I know you want to
before
pivot.
we move on, DTR is speaking to the media right now.
Oh, good.
And he had a quote that I want to read you guys, and then we'll get at least one more thing before we move on to a Nick Chubb revenge game, and then we welcome Aditi and Bernie Kosar on the show. But DTR was asked, what's the difference between your week 4 start and getting ready for this game? And he said, and I quote, "I know what to expect now. I'm not just stepping out there for the first time. I know all my keys. I know where the guys are supposed to be. I'm not just going out there wide-eyed anymore. I've grown a lot, and I'm proud of how much growth and progression I've made, the maturity I've seen since then. Reps are everything, and we're finally on the same page now instead of just winging it."
I like that.
That's awesome.
He still has to go out and play, but I think that's a really thoughtful answer, and that's exactly what I want to hear him say. To my point earlier, that now he's the only student under Kevin Stefanski's wing. I have seen Kevin Stefanski. Look at the games that this team has won under Kevin Stefanski with, I think it's 5 different quarterbacks have won games, maybe 6. That's pretty impressive right there.
He's done. This is the thing that makes me even say what I'm saying. I wouldn't have said this a year ago. They play hard for Kevin Stefanski, and on top of that, these guys is fired up for the fact that they still don't get no credit. Like people think that they're gonna go away, and that's what Kevin's telling them. People think you guys are just gonna go quietly into the night, finish the year off, and woe is me that Deshaun ain't here. But the problem is, they had that adversity last year. They played without Deshaun for a whole 11 games last year. They had their lumps. They had the ups and downs. They played without Deshaun the most part of this year. Ups and downs, he's in the lineup or whatever the case may be. I said it weeks ago. I told them that they should have put him on IR at the time. And half the reason I said that is because you can go to your team and say, hey, look, Deshaun ain't coming back. He can't save you. So I need each one of y'all to put that individual cape on and understand that it's the collection of the unit that's going to get this done. And you ask yourself a question. How many defensive players is crying, saying, woe is me? I ain't heard from none of them yet.
You won't.
You ain't heard from nobody on the defensive end of the spectrum because they understand what their job is, and they've shown you time and time again. Look at the plays with David Njoku running down the field and nobody can't tackle him. Look at them pushing the pile. All those things were other players, not Deshaun Watson. So that ain't going nowhere. You still got. Is
it solidified? Do you think that it can go up a notch just because now it really is like everybody thinks we're done?
That's why I said the Pittsburgh Steelers got a rude awakening. When they get in here, they're going to find a caged animal. Like, I've seen the Browns play at home where it's like, wow, these dudes won't even let them get a snap off. That's the way they're going to play.
What were the stats, Mike? We were going to do this yesterday. The stats
we're going to do it tomorrow. So
okay.
a little teaser for tomorrow, but we are going to get into the Browns.
You'll want to tune in tomorrow because the stats of the Browns at home this year
they win that game.
Are head spinning. They really are. They jump off the page at you. And, you know, look, I know no one's talking home field advantage anymore, but you can bet they haven't stopped thinking about it in that locker room.
They're going to be ready.
They know what's in front of them.
And so think about when you start playing with that confidence and you just beat Baltimore, you're not scared about Pittsburgh at home. And given the fact that you've had Chubb gone, your quarterback's gone, you're down to your third or fourth tackle. Jim Brown passed away during the first part of the year. The national media won't give you no credit for anything that you do. It's about the Ravens and the Steelers. They're going to get out there, and it's going to be different. It's going to be different. I'm telling you, Browns will be 7-3. Book it. Save this clip.
Wow, we went book it.
Save this clip.
Book it.
Save this clip when you run that back next week on Monday. The Browns will be 7-3. Let's roll.
I've seen some of the headlines that we've sent in, and you are not alone in picking the Browns. Let's just put it at that. We got to read. We're going to move.